Hakioi listeners, let's learn sumo. I'm Clayton. Welcome to the podcast. Don't forget to join me on X and Instagram at Let's Learn Sumo, also where this podcast is restreamed on YouTube in audio mostly. If you like my content, you can drop a donation to my Kimboshi fund, which helps pay for some of the subscriptions, keep the channel going. Otherwise, you can just listen along. The Buy Me a Coffee link is in the comments. I promise to be 99% not AI slop tonight. We'll get into that in a moment. But I am joined by two very special guests, Dave and Amy from the Sumo Mainichi Podcast. Welcome, friends.
Hey, Clayton. How are you?
Hello, Clayton. Lovely to be here.
Thank you for joining me. I know we are mid-basho. We're all get a little bit over sumo. Maybe not over it, but we need a rest from it. We need a rest from it after the basho. So I really do appreciate you guys coming along. It's an incredible effort for Dave and Amy. They do run the Sumo Mainichi podcast 15 days of the basho each night. I don't know how you do it. Well done. There's plenty of alcohol that needs to be taken in as you do it.
We have tiny sips.
Yeah, tiny sips over the 15 days is the way to do it. We microdose sake. That's the secret.
And we just realised that the Banzuke comes out on Monday.
Yeah, Monday.
I thought it was this Monday,
Yeah. So it all starts again very, very soon.
Geez, I will be overseas when it drops, so I will definitely have a look. I may not get an episode up.
Oh, come on, Clayton.
Got to be committed. Be sitting on an island somewhere in Thailand trying to put an episode together.
We've done exactly that from an island in Thailand.
Yes.
We never missed
Sumo Mainichi, the guys ran an excellent event down in Melbourne. They run it every basho on Senshiraku. Last night of the basho, they run a live sumo podcast. I was lucky enough to be invited to the last one. Bit of live commentary, prizes, sponsor flags this time. That was very fancy.
Yeah, we did have Dr. Ben Marshman parading a flag that he had somehow bought. He's a master of using the Japanese Yahoo auction site, and parading it back and forth in front of us. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, I imagine it because what does it cost to sponsor those in Japan?
It's like $1,000, right?
I think it's maybe about $700.
No, I think it's actually about they've got to sponsor the entire basho. So they buy the flag, all of that. It's the entire basho for one of the rikishi, and it's about $7,000 or $8,000 to cover the entire basho.
Oh,
so they run it every night of the basho with the same flag, with the same rikishi.
Well, I hope his flag wasn't as much as that because that'd be.
Well, I hope he made it. I hope he got it home that night because I think Dr. Ben, when I was in Melbourne, he might have a hangover on the Monday after.
We had a great post-event drinks. We all enjoyed a few. What do we have? Tequilas.
Well, we had tequilas, and actually, what went wrong there was that we were so pleased that the live event having gone well, and so pleased to be there with Dr. Ben Marshman and you, Clayton, and that I just looked at the vibe of the menu rather than the actual menu, and I ordered 4 tequila flights.
Yeah.
Then found out that you didn't drink it, Clayton, and that I'd ordered one of the most expensive tequilas as part of the tequila flight. And
what was it? Good tequila?
It was. I mean, it tasted fine.
Great.
It was delicious.
Yeah. It's bad when the waitress tells you that she hasn't tried that tequila because it's too expensive.
I just was stabbing at different tequilas with my finger.
That should have been the hint.
I thought they were all the same cost, but it turns out they weren't. Delicious.
All I can say is tequila and I have not been friends for a very long time.
Yeah.
That's me and Drambuie, actually, since uni.
We all have that one drink. So we are at the end of 2025. What a year it's been, run and done. We're going to have a bit of a look at the year in review. I think we need to start with the fact in 2025, we saw 2 sumo promoted to the exalted rank of Yokozuna. Those who don't know the Yokozuna rank, you cannot be demoted. You might be asked if you continue to lose that perhaps it's time for you to retire, but you are the pinnacle of sumo, and we had 2 this year. No higher rank or prestige is given to a wrestler, so Let's have a bit of a roundup of who won what this year. We had January, and this was a big event in January. We had Ozeki Hoshoryu coming into the New Year Basho. He was coming in looking for a Yusho win to push his case for Yokozuna, and he ended up in a three-way playoff. Dave, Amy, it was a pretty big event in that playoff. How did you see it?
Well, two very unlikely lads joining Hoshoryu in that playoff in Oho and Kimbozan.
When I went back and looked at that, it just lit up my mind. Like, how did that happen? Oho, Kimbozan. Kimbozan, I guess, in particular, because we haven't seen him go on to enjoy a whole lot of success this year. But yeah, it got down to the three of them on day 15.
And of course, Hoshoryu smoked Kimbozan in that first bout. But the final bout, that Hoshoryu Oho bout, I revisited this afternoon on the Grand Sumo app, which Amy, you can see replays on that.
Thank you.
What a cracker of a bout. This was Oho in his best form that we've seen him. He was so good against Hoshoryu.
He was good all the way through that tournament. And he really, we always say there's two Ohos. There's Sanyaku Oho, and then there's Megashira 16 Oho. And January was Sanyaku Oho.
Although when he gets there, he doesn't do so well. So when you say Sanyaku Oho, I'm actually like a little bit nervous, because then he gets to Sekiwake, as he has a couple of times. And and it's not always, he doesn't always enjoy a whole lot of success there.
But that was I'll give you a bit of a tip. I'm currently putting together the Fight of the Year episode, and that one fight in the playoff features very highly in my Fight of the Year list, my final list. I'll give that little hint away. I can say, and I was saying to Dave and Amy before we started, I have yet to actually decide which is the Fight of the Year. I tend to get to a point where I go, what's the fight that excites me the most?
Yeah, because there's so many ways of thinking about it, right? It could be the move, it could be how long it goes for, it could be how short it is, how definitive it is.
The sort of dominance that like someone might show, but it's also, I want it to be a fight that I'll show someone who doesn't know sumo, who gets excited about that fight. So last year was Wakataka Kage and Onosato in September. Great fight, really exciting. The year before was former Ozeki Takakeisho versus Midori Fuji, the big slap fest in January 23. Right. It was an exciting fight. It still excites me, that fight. And this Oho Hoshoryu fight excited me, not just because it was Hoshoryu looking for his Yokozuna Yusho, but it was a good fight on its own.
It was such a good fight, and Oho was at his best where he can just be very slippery moving around the doyo. Hoshoryu had to pull out every trick in his bag to get him close to the Tawara. And that moment when Hoshoryu took Oho over, there was just this look of triumph. It was powerful.
Actually, there was a guy with his back to the camera in the crowd, just a few rows from the front, who stood up at that point. He was so excited. Yeah. You don't see it very often in a sumo crowd. In the Kokugikan as well. Yes. He stood straight up, his hands in the air, cheering for Hoshoryu. So I think we all felt a bit like that.
That's one thing about going to sumo. You don't see people the crowd be very performative when someone wins a big fight. Like if you're at the cricket in Australia or maybe the baseball in America, if someone does, like Shohei Ohtani does something, everyone will stand up. And in Australia, everyone stands up at once. But I think the big thing at the sumo is throwing the cushion. Unless you're in, Osaka, they tie them down now?
Well, it has, post-COVID, the throwing the purple cushion when a Yokozuna gets beaten is pretty much gone.
I've read a few articles about how the crowd behaviour in general, not just foreigners, has been getting a bit out of control at sumo. There's a lot of calling out now, because that's what I think happens a lot now, is the noise. There's not a lot of demonstrative behaviour, but there's a lot of noise.
Yes.
But actually the throwing of the cushions, it just doesn't happen much anymore. That
I think it happens in Tokyo a little bit, but the other ones, they tend to be a bit more restrained. I did notice there was a story, some of the sumo wrestlers in London said the behaviour, they commented that the behaviour in London was actually very good, and in comparison with perhaps the Japanese crowds.
They're in the special seats, you know. The opera seats and the orchestra seats.
They paid a bit of money.
You're in the Royal Albert Hall.
Yeah.
You have to be on your best behaviour.
They did such a good job of making that look good, though, didn't it? Because I know it in the classical music industry. I know it mostly for that and for the other gigs there. But geez, they made it look good for sumo. I don't want to get waylaid by London again, but I thought it was so fun.
Now, but I will mention London because I haven't added it to our year in review. It was.
It'll come up. It'll come up.
It was. I've said before, it was a fantastic event. It was an enormous success in terms of exciting people outside Japan about sumo, and maybe media who hadn't really reported on sumo, particularly in London. The BBC went hard on it, but as a sumo event, more performative.
Yes.
Perhaps.
Well, the guy who covered it for the BBC is a massive sumo fan, actually. He's in their digital team. And when he found out that the sumo was coming to London, he was like, oh, please let me work on it. I'll write all your articles. I'll do all your coverage.
All of his Christmases came at once.
Yeah, exactly. Can you imagine if that happened at the ABC? I would just lose my mind. And he got to live out that. I mean, he's a journalist anyway, but he got to do that special work and did a great job of it. He was interviewed actually on Grand Sumo Breakdown. I saw.
Oh, really?
Thomas.
Oh, cool.
I'll have to go and look for that.
Yeah.
I mean, we want sumo to come to Australia, and of course, they're going to need English commentators.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course.
I think I know where I can find some.
That's you, Clayton.
Yeah, I reckon. I don't know if I could sit there and go through the motions. To try to.
You don't have the hero kind of enthusiasm. You have to muster it.
I'll stand up there going, "This is terrible. This is fake." Refunds. Tick. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know.
Okay, so let's move on. January. Hoshoryu won that Yusho. You could see the look of absolute relief on his face. He knew what he'd achieved. He was promoted to Yokozuna off that. We'll come back to him a little bit later as we look at them.
Can I say that he was promoted after a Junyusho show and then a Yusho, which is great. I think he should have absolutely been promoted. But guess who wasn't promoted after that? Takakeisho. So it was interesting that at this point they were very eager for another Yokozuna. Terunofuji retired during this basho actually, and they were looking a little bit.
Well, I think the issue was they knew they'd already announced London was happening. They could not go to London without a Yokozuna. That was, you need a Yokozuna to go to that event. They couldn't guarantee that someone would get there again. He generally met the conditions. Perhaps you would say that Takakeisho.
But I just think that Takakeisho did. And Takakeisho's moved on now. That's fine. He's taking over Tokiwayama Baya, and he's going to be still in the business. And I love his commentary. I love everything he says about sumo. I love when he's on TV shows.
But if Takakeisho had been promoted off that Junyusho combination, he would have had a much better ability to manage these injuries.
Yeah.
So we could have seen him fight for a lot longer. I do think his retirement he was very young. Yeah. 28?
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah. Look, he's only 28. Yeah, so he was kind of, when he was still wrestling, he was a little bit of a divisive, I suppose, wrestler. Some people didn't like his style, and I think I've gone back since he's retired and looked at his style, and I tend to appreciate his very oshi, very Sapari thrusting style a bit better. I kind of understand what he was on about. Whilst I like his style, I hate his new haircut. It looks like there's an animal on his head.
The fringe is beautiful, and I won't hear any words.
That's not what I was expecting you to say, Clayton.
Okay, so Hoshoryu gets promoted to Yokozuna. Coming into March, though, there was a sense that he had some sort of elbow injury coming into March. And as it turned out, that plagued him throughout the March tournament. Actually went Kyujo, I think, on about day 5. He gave away a few kimboshis.
We can tell you exactly when it was. It was day 10 because we were due to go to the sumo on that day with Kimba in Osaka. And we were about to meet up to go to the venue. And we got a message from Kimba saying, Kyujo. He's Kyujo. And we don't have to ask with Kimber, you don't have to ask who that is.
I remember you saying it actually on the podcast at the time when you were over there, and I thought, oh, that's disappointing. You miss out on the
really
Doyo Iri.
Yep.
It is a special thing to watch a Doyo Iri live. I mean, you see it on TV every night, but watching it in the stadium, it's a very, it's a really exciting thing to watch.
We haven't seen one in quite a long time, have we?
What was the last one you saw?
No, did we in March? So we didn't see Yokozuna Doyo Iri then.
No, we haven't.
So then the November before, did Terunofuji turn up to that? I don't think we've seen one in a long time.
Yeah,
no, long time, years. It's been.
I think he was out the one before. So
yeah.
So Ozeki Onosato comes in to March tournament and ends up winning a playoff with Takayasu. Look, the disappointment, I can see it on Amy's face. 12-3 wins a playoff against Takayasu. Wow. A kuridashi rear push out.
Can I flag this early as my most disappointing moment of 2025 in sumo?
Yes.
We did our live event at the TNT Craft Beer pub in Osaka, and the vibe there was just so massive for a Takayasu win. We'd had a lot of communication about people invested in Takayasu, and you know, we all know the story of wanting him to get a Yusho. He's on the way out and was looking so good, and it was just primed for it. And the disappointment.
It's one of the few bouts that I can replay in my head.
Yeah.
Because I've watched it so many times, and I think there's something about the emotion that just burned it into my memories. He was so close. If the doyo was just a little bit bigger, the Tawara a few more centimeters out, he would have had enough purchase to throw. Oh, painful memories.
Look, so what you're saying, Dave and Amy, is you don't want me to pick that fight for fight of the year?
Well, look, fight of the year, we'd have to have words.
Well, I don't think it was fight of the year, number one.
No,
so you'd be wrong.
Yes.
Just so sad. So sad, but great for Onosato.
Yeah. Very disappointing. And Takayasu, I think he's got himself 5 or 6 Kimboshi, might have picked up another 1 or 2 this year. Like Tamawashi, he's trying to bankrupt the JSA individually.
He'll be a very expensive Rikishi to retire, that's for sure.
Yes, as will Tamawashi. So, look, Onosato wins his first, he wins a Yusho in March, sets himself up for the May tournament. Ozeki Onosato comes into May and really does the job, gets to a 14-1 coming into May. Where are we? Yes.
Yeah, I'd even say he got to 14-0. Onosato.
Well, yes, 14-0, and then came day 15.
So at that point, the Yusho had been decided. Onosato had locked it in already. No one was close to him. But that final bout against Hoshoryu, is that going to be featuring, Clayton?
Look, it is there. It's actually marked yellow on the spreadsheet.
Okay.
I don't know that it'll make the final cut, but I remember the fight. It was exciting, and of course, Hoshoryu just does the job in a retreating style and gets the win. I don't know. I'll have to go back and have another look, but Hoshoryu beating the Ozeki, it's his job. That's what the Yokozuna needs to do, but he'd not done the job himself to get himself in the place for the Yusho himself. So hands the Yusho to Onosato, and also Yokozuna promotion.
Yeah. I felt that this one was not my bout of the year, but one of my bouts of the year, just because not necessarily the sumo, but the context, and that Hoshoryu with that win was the only Rikishi to beat Onosato in that basho, but denies Onosato the glory of a 15-0 for Yokozuna promotion. There was just something about it, and I thought, we are on here. We have 2 Yokozuna at the top of the game. Did it play out like that for the rest of the year? Not so much.
Not as much. I do remember the expression on Onosato's face. He was really ready for that 15-0. He thought, I've arrived, and he had to have to a huge extent. But to not get that final win, I remember him kind of staring off into the crowd and then hanging his head. That one hit him really hard. And actually, I was wondering whether I could even see the disappointment extend into his U-show interview and into the way he conducted himself afterwards. I'm sure I was reading way too much into it, but I do think that loss hit him pretty hard.
It set up what I thought was a really interesting rivalry with, our two Yokozunas, and they're going to go hard at it, hopefully, for a lot of years. And it was really, to me, it was like a power statement by Hoshoryu to say, I am the Yokozuna, I'm going to dominate, and you might just be promoted, but guess who's boss? Has it worked out that way? Not really, but I hope that we see that rivalry and those sort of fights again and again and again, and without too much injury.
Well, what's good is that I think they're both generally healthy, as long as Onosato recovers now well. And so we should see this rivalry extend for many years. And I do think it will develop into a good one. But as you say, the rest of the year, it didn't quite pan out.
I'll show you.
Yeah.
And takes us to July. A rank outside Magashira 15, Kota Shoho, on return from injury after about a year of absolute mediocrity, turns up in July, wins the U-Show on a 13-2 after being one of the only Rikishi to actually beat Ayanishiki on the final day to avoid a playoff. Suki Itoshi thrust down as he got a hand on the body and just pushed him straight down. An incredible win. Who saw that coming?
I don't think anyone did. And I think Kota Shoho winning in July, I saw a lot of people disparage this win and say that he didn't deserve it. But it took me back to those heady days of 2022, 2023, when we just had so many different people winning U-Show.
Mostly in January, but this time in July.
Yeah. So I think that's magic that someone like Kota Shoho can come back from such a low rank, coming back off injury and jag one. I mean, that's the magic of sumo.
And I think he was showing his promise. He was really fulfilling the promise, because when he started in 2017, he went up so quickly. There was only one basho actually until he got to Magashira 3 that he got a losing record in. So he went all through 2018, 19 and 20 to arrive at January 2021 at Magashira 3, just going straight through. I mean, this is what it wasn't as fast, obviously, as Aonishiki and the others, but he's huge. He's very strong. And I enjoyed seeing that finally everything kind of come together and just set himself up for all of those wins.
Clayton, how did you see the performance? Have you watched the bouts again?
I need to go back and watch Kota Shoho again, but I remember from watching it at the time, my view was that he's a very versatile wrestler. If I said he's an Oshi specialist, he's a belt specialist, he's this or that, I couldn't say that about Kota Shoho. He strikes me as a bit more versatile in the way he goes about his fight. He's a little bit pillowy in the front section, like Kota Zakura, so that makes it a bit hard.
It's like when you see pretty strong though. I think that's all muscle, more muscle than Kota Zakura.
Well, when you hit Kota Zakura, your hand kind of disappears for about a foot and then comes back. That's part of his defense technique. Look, I'm really happy for Kota Shoho. I see him naturally around I think he's quite easily maybe a lower joy wrestler, and very stable lower joy wrestler. I don't know that I see him having the sort of stability in technique and the consistency to keep himself in the Sanyaku, and maybe that's where I see maybe versatility. Maybe that is a weakness because he needs to develop a bit more defined outcomes in the way he goes about his sumo.
I did watch his victory over Aonishiki because, as you said, he was one of the few people to beat Aonishiki that basho. And it wasn't that he did anything spectacular, just a simple Norowa, let Aonishiki put his weight forward, and then he just moved away. I mean, it was clever sumo. Very few people have done what he did since.
And I think he's just keep it simple. And that's where I think Hoshoryu has been failing against Aonishiki. He's trying weird things and they're not working. He just needs to get back to simple sumo. He's getting dominated. So we'll come back to that.
Yeah,
September. Yes, September, Yokozuna Onosato defeated Yokozuna Hoshoryu in a playoff for the Yusho, but I seem to remember how Hoshoryu got to the playoff, and
yeah,
against Wakataka Kage, day 14, there might have been a henka.
It was a henka that changed the landscape of henka discussion and discourse, really. And look, I mean, it was one of those ones that, of course, I was disgusted. But once I finished being disgusted, from memory, I think Onosato had the Fusen that day or the day before.
Day 14.
So essentially, Onosato
yes.
he got a free win because someone went out. So to me, it was like Hoshoryu giving himself a day off. So
Kodozakura, wasn't it?
Kodozakura, yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Which gave
so
him
I didn't mind it in the end.
Yeah, I thought it was fine in the end. This was my basho off. I was in France, and so I was, perpetually drinking wine and eating croissants and having a great time. But also, when I got around to watching this, I thought it was fine.
But that that Onosato Hoshoryu playoff, yikes.
Well, Dave, you're not keen on the henka. Amy, I don't know that I would say that you're anti-henka.
Oh wow,
that's interesting to hear. How do I come across on the pod? Am I the voice of reason?
Well, look, I'll be careful.
How you
I won't say
Clayton.
yes or no there. But I wouldn't say you're anti-henka. Look, it was a very strategic henka, and it wasn't.
I like storylines.
That's the difference. It wasn't a desperation henka. It was a strategic henka.
Yep.
I like storylines and beautiful movements on the doyo. So if it looks pretty,
so
no, I do think that one was amazing.
Yes. So that gave the fight itself in the playoff with Onosato was a hair's breadth win for Onosato over Hoshoryu. It could have easily gone the other way as they plummeted out of the ring. The rivalry's now been set.
Yeah, I thought it was a brave call to not call that mono-e, that last call. But when we saw the replays come through, it was absolutely correct. It was heartbreaking. It was close, but it was clearly an Onosato win. It
was controversial, the number of comments on YouTube, on Instagram, on Reddit, all of the posts about this. There was so much discourse about whether Hoshoryu was, robbed in inverted commas. But I saw it to be the right call as well.
I think if you saw the replay, and I think that's what normally upsets people, if they don't see the judges at least have a look at something that close, it really upsets, particularly a Western crowd. Yeah, and as I was trying to explain to my listeners a little while ago, the one thing you need to remember about sumo is there is a lot of tradition, a lot of rank structure and that going on. And particularly when they're looking at things like Shinatai dead body or who's the aggressor. And I think there was a win that Onosato got in November that perhaps might have been what you might call closer than perhaps normal.
Yeah.
And they didn't look at it. And I'm like, well, I can understand that. He's a Yokozuna. He was the aggressor, and they gave him the win because it was close enough. And it's more an attitude.
He's a Japanese Yokozuna.
Yeah.
Yes.
Does that play into it?
No, I don't think it does. I think it comes down to the cultural effect of sumo, in that rank, we're going to automatically say he won unless it's really clear he didn't.
Yeah.
Do you know the other thing is, the other side of this is that it's a television sport as well. So when they do too many mono-e, they get told off for doing too much. You're doubting the Gyoji's decision, and you're making everything go for ages. We've got the news hard on 6 o'clock. We just need to go for it.
They will blow the news out. We've seen them blow the news out.
They will, but
for a Yusho, to decide a Yusho. I think the other thing, I think you're right though about the Western lens on sumo. The fact that you don't in the stadium get replays.
Yeah,
there's no screens to see a replay. It's not a sport about millimeters.
Yeah.
And I think you're exactly right, Clayton. Onosato was the aggressor. He'd won it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a vibe thing as well, for sure.
Now, can we just move the Royal Albert Hall to Tokyo, make it bigger, because it had screens for replays?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're so used to replays, aren't we, for everything?
I know.
Cricket, you talked about cricket before. You can see anything at any point with any level of absolute certainty. And sumo's just not like that.
We've done it a few times now that we've taken like an iPad or something to watch and stream NHK or stream a BEMA. And you're seeing more and more Japanese people do that too.
I thought I was
TV
the only
coverage.
nerd.
In the stadium.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there with my laptop and I'm watching the live stream so I can see the replays as well. I thought I was the only nerd, but apparently not.
You need a 4-person box all to yourself for you and all your gear.
All my tech.
Pop the drone up there as well.
Fly it around the ring. So on to November. Yes. On to November. What a basho it was. Seki Wake Ayanishiki, the Ukrainian whirlwind, wins the Yusho in a 12-3 playoff with Hoshoryu. And all I can say is, before I get to Ayanishiki, that was a humiliating loss for the Yokozuna.
I think
the way he lost.
Yeah, well, the way he lost, it's just that he lost exactly the same way the day before.
Yes.
So I think it's that he had a full 24 hours to go back to the drawing board to rethink his sumo, and he still couldn't come up with something.
If you're a newspaper photographer and you get gifted that image of Hoshoryu at the end on his hands and knees staring out into the crowd, you can see, they play that up. And I think obviously that was a ignoble way to end, but the real thing is that he couldn't find that way to beat him again. I don't think it's bad to lose to Aonishiki at the moment, but to lose that way, like you said, and to lose for a second time.
Can I ask you, Clayton, you were saying before that you think Hoshoryu needs to go back to a bit more like simple or meat and potatoes sumo to beat Aonishiki. Can that work?
Yes, because I think this is where Hoshoryu's year has come apart in terms of being a Yokozuna and not winning. And I think when he first got promoted to Yokozuna, my view was he's got this expectation of what Yokozuna is in terms of I must be dominant, I must be strong, I must do this and win this quickly. And that, I think, pulled him apart in a lot of his fights that he lost, where he was trying too hard to be dominant and too fast and trying things that just were impatient sumo. And when he settled a bit into the role, and I think maybe a bit late, he started to get it back together, particularly in September. He started to get back to what Hoshoryu was as a wrestler. And that really strong, very balanced, really good footwork sort of wrestler that could get around the ring and get hold. And I've always said Hoshoryu is, for me, probably the strongest wrestler in the top division. I think his core strength and his strength is probably the best out of all of them in terms of just that core strength and how much muscle there is. I think he's trying to he's gotten himself into a mindset on Aonishiki where he's tried some things, tried to dominate, they didn't work, and somehow he didn't have a backup plan, or his footwork got in the wrong way, and that's not Hoshoryu's style of wrestling, where I've never seen his footwork get twisted like that before.
I think you're right there. I think he went out with a different style on the day and it didn't work because he wasn't doing his sumo. To take it broader, what do you see, having watched so many bouts across the year as a way to beat Aonishiki? Because this is the big question now for January. How do you beat this guy?
It's interesting. So you see after each Yusho, some of the Oyakatas talk about their different techniques and things. And of course, the worst thing you can do with Aonishiki is let him get low, let him get forward and low and pull you down forward, because you saw it didn't work for Otami Fuji. It hasn't worked for Onosato. Everyone who's wrestled him has ended up low, has ended up on their face, either uchimuso, leg sweep, or things of that nature. The really instructive ones where Aonishiki lost, Wakamoto Haru and Onosato. Onosato kept him up and just blasted him back and out of the ring. Now, that's just power sumo. And it's interesting, I think, because of where Aonishiki comes from, he doesn't have that same 10 years of doing Shiko, lower body strength, that all these other guys have. And I think everyone is playing into his sort of game, going that low, really down, low style that he's used to in European wrestling. And that's where he lives. The ones that have won have been like Kotoshoho, who's held him up high with the Nodowa and then pulled him. Wakamoto Haru, who, and I'll tell you, I would probably make this one of my fights of the year, where he got onto the belt and did Wakamoto Haru belt sumo for the win, which was one of the most fantastic wins I've seen him do. That, I think, is where that I hesitate to say weakness, but I say a small vulnerability is get him up high and use the power.
Yeah.
Is it going to work every time? Probably not. He's a really versatile wrestler.
Yeah. Yeah, and we've seen that versatility expand this year, haven't we? Because he's been forced to, at the start, he was just kind of pulling people down a lot. And as people got to know that, they forced him to adapt. And he has, the scariest thing for them is that he has adapted.
How quickly he's adapted.
Yeah, just a natural born talent and a natural sports person.
But he has a desperation to him as well in terms of backup plans.
He's so scrappy.
And he's quick. Just so quick.
So maybe is this the right time to ask the question, Aonishiki Yokozuna when?
Well, okay, so if we look at how he can do it, he's now Ozeki for January. So he gets the Yusho in January. He's got to beat both Yokozunas. He then has to get the Yokozuna, get the Basho in March. And we're saying he's got to beat both Yokozunas in January and March to be promoted in May. Now, that's not an easy ask.
You couldn't get to Yusho not from only one from Ozeki.
No, I think
Couldn't he be promoted in March?
I think you'll find they want him to be Ozeki to win too. I know you're wishing for it.
Come on, mate. I mean, he's young.
He's too young. He's too young.
He's too young. Don't worry about it. He'll do it.
I think you'll find if he wins in January and, say, pulls a Junyusho off in March, I think they'd look seriously at him. And
if he won in January and went Junyusho in March, I think so too.
But if he blows January, which is very, very unlikely, comes back in March, and it's really a matter of, I don't see him being overawed. I think he's still going to be there or thereabouts for the next 3 or 4 Bashos, and I don't think they've particularly worked him out. So I think it's a very good possibility.
Ono Sato's injury as well, doesn't it?
We don't know.
Comes back from that.
Because you're going to have to remind me what that was, but I do remember looking it up. It required surgery from memory.
Clayton?
In my head says elbow or shoulder. I'd need to go back and have a look.
Yeah, I think it was elbow.
Do you think he had surgery?
I think it was surgery, yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't realise he had surgery. I shall have to go and have a look at my my Sumo Spy and see what I can find out. So that was the year. It was an incredible year. We've seen 2 Yokozunas. We've got a new Ozeki, which is really pushing hard with everybody. Hoshoryu and Onosato, their first year debut as Yokozuna. They've improved the retirements of a number of wrestlers with the Kimboshi funds. Given away, I think, I didn't actually add them up, but I know there's quite a few people sitting back at their stables going, I've done well. My retirement's looking good.
There is another Ozeki, though. Kodazakura. We haven't been talking a lot about Kodazakura here. But he's Ozeki. He's the other Ozeki.
He's still around. Ozeki. He's still getting kachikoshi every so often when he needs to.
Holding on by his fingertips.
Oh, I still love watching him. I mean, that some of the wins he got in November were really fist pumping the sky kind of stuff.
One of the things that, where did we see this? Taka Keisho talking about Kodazakura and saying that he loves watching Kodazakura because he said, and this is very poetic, very Taka Keisho, but there's beauty in struggle. And I think that Kodazakura is that kind of Ozeki. He's probably not going to do double digits very often. He's always going to go down to the wire getting 8, but you can really get invested in this kid.
But I love watching him. Is he going to get another Yusho is a question.
Wow.
I mean, we all know he's struggling with knee injuries, and he's been struggling all year with this knee injury. At what point does he go, I need to allow myself to go Kataban, fall to Sekiwake, give myself a couple of months and get the knee fixed?
Because it's both knees now too.
Yes.
Which I think it's better to have both knees bad. Because then at that point, when one knee's bad, you go, well, I'll rely on the other knee.
Yeah.
But if both knees are bad, you go, I've got to change my sumo.
You need 2 walking sticks.
Yeah.
I'll just
me getting out of bed every day going, which knee this year? Yeah. Look, he's struggled along. I think if his knees were healthy, I think he'd be quite easily a 10-12 Yusho, 10-12 Basho wrestler easily.
Yep.
He's got the technique, and when you see him at his best, and you see the balance that he's got he's got a really wide stance like Hoshoryu. When Hoshoryu is going well, you see him from behind, he gets his legs out nice and wide, he's got a really good balance and movement. That's the Kodazakura that I like to see, because it's really hard to break his stance.
And we've been talking about 2025, so from January this year, but it was only November 2024 that he got his Yusho. So it's not actually way in the past.
Yeah, it's only a year ago. Yeah.
It's only a year ago. Yes, there's been the knees, but
yeah, boy.
I don't see anything changing until he gets them fixed, though. I think he's going to continue to struggle, and it's only going to be a bad tournament. Bang, Kataban, Sekiwake.
Yeah, I think you're right. But once you leave Ozeki, we look at Kirishima, once you leave, it can be very, very hard to get back. Very hard.
Now, Clayton, I've got something to take up with you. Stop.
Okay.
Now, you are a man of stats and details, and you sent some wonderful notes through to us actually on a whole lot of Rikishi for today. Amazing preparation. I read all of them and I remembered the year in a beautiful light. But when I scrolled down and found Shodai, there was something that you wrote that I need you to explain.
What did I write about Shodai?
Yeah. What did you write? Let's see.
Wow.
Let's see.
Look, now I write many things, Amy, and sometimes I don't remember.
I'm going to tell you what you wrote, but before I do, I'm going to say that in July, Shodai went 9-6. In September, Shodai went 10-5. I don't need to talk about the other Basho this year with Shodai. You wrote
the wording I used.
You wrote approaching the twilight. ...
Interesting.
Maybe I should have put a question mark there for you, Amy.
You're a brave man, Clayton.
Very brave. The question mark. I don't want the ...
The first
finished
line I wrote
with a nasty blemish at Maegashira 5, 4-11. And actually, he hasn't got a Kachikoshi in Fukuoka since 2021. So I will accept Fukuoka as a nasty blemish. However, approaching the twilight. Explain.
Well, okay, let's look. He was Komusubi in November.
I'm not looking.
Last year. Komusubi last year, 4-11. January, 5-10. March, 6-9. May, 7-8. July, September, he likes a little bit of warmth, maybe.
Great stuff.
And then comes back in November, 4-11. Maybe he's just... Yeah, maybe he's tired in his career, Amy.
He's hanging out with his Kumamoto friends. All of his mates are at the Basho. They go out for a couple of beers after. He's a bit tired. In January...
We've all been there.
He's going 11-4.
He's 34. I mean, it's a reality we are going to have.
So young.
Yes.
So young.
Well,
he's got many years
compared to Tamawashi, very young.
Well, I don't think Shodai's the kind of guy who's still going to be around at 40.
How many records is Shodai knocking down?
Yeah, I think he's one of these guys who has been there before, has been Sanyaku, maybe not moving as fast like Arby, not moving as fast sometimes. Takayasu at times, you can just see there's a bit of fatigue coming in towards the end of a basho that...
I can't hear a single word you're saying. It's all just like white noise in my ears. I make this commitment to you, though. If he gets Kachikoshi in January, I'm printing it on a T-shirt with Approaching the Twilight and I'm sending it up to Brisbane and you will wear it.
I'll wear it at the next live event.
I don't think Kachikoshi's enough. I think it's got to be double digits.
It's got to be double digits.
I don't know if I'm prepared to admit that. To go with that.
What about 9 wins?
Okay, 9 wins. If he gets 9-6.
Yeah.
9 wins.
I prefer double digits, I have to admit.
I'll come on the, one of the Jurio live streams with we're Approaching the Twilight T-shirt.
Yeah. And then you'll self-flagellate for a bit because Approaching the Twilight is not right.
Moving on.
Sorry to derail us there.
Former Ozeki Kirishima. Look, he's had a difficult 2025 and 2024. It really all started back in January 24 against Terunofuji, where he got absolutely yeeted from the dojo by Terunofuji. It all fell apart from there. He was on his own Yokozuna run, Dave. He was looking good, and then it kind of fell apart. But in recent, since May, he seems to be looking like coming back. September, he had some form of injury, but again, November, 11-4. That's the Kirishima we want to see. Even wins himself a special prize.
Yeah, he gets the Kanto Shore Fighting Spirit prize in November. Yeah, I mean, Kirishima has been such a puzzle for me this year, and I think we've spoken on our podcast regularly about, is it mental or is it physical? When he's good, he looks the best going around, but other times you just go, how can he be losing like this? He seems to get into this funk.
Yeah, I mean, he can be so strong when he does. Sorry.
Go for it, Amy.
Yeah, he goes so well when he is in form, but those form days, it's not a whole basho when he's in form. It's sort of so up and down.
But see, I think you're right, Clayton. This 11-4 in November looked very interesting, and we've seen that score from him over the last 6 months. But the follow-up basho is the one where it seems to fall apart.
Yeah, I mean, he has moved stables, new Oyakata. He was plagued by a few injuries. To me, he is the best technical wrestler in top division. I think he's Mr. Technician by a long way.
I think changing the stable was meant to be, well, I thought at the time it was good for him because he was with Kakuryu now, who is such a good coach or seems to be becoming such a good coach, and they have such good bond as well from both being Mongolian and really seeming to understand, Kakuryu seeming to understand his style of wrestling. So I thought that was going to be a really positive thing for him. But
I think it probably will eventually, though. It'll get there eventually, Amy. I think... but I think he really struggled early on in that day because they really had a lot of low-level wrestlers in the stable, and if you're a top-line athlete, you want to prepare against top-line athletes. So I know I've seen a lot of him traveling around to other stables in the last few months because he's looking for that more higher-level rikishi to practice against.
2026, I've got no idea what's going to happen with him.
Well, he's going to, I think you'll find he will be back in the
Sanyaku.
Back in Sanyaku for the next basho. Basho is Megashira 2. I think I looked at it and I went, we'll see Kirishima back in Sanyaku. Likely a return to Komusubi. He just might slip back up to Sekiwake depending on how they look at it. So that'll be interesting. One of my big disappointments for the year, Wakataka Kage, former Sekiwake, hasn't really gone well for him this year. I just had so many hopes for him. He started out the year so well, was on an Ozeki run coming into September, and it all fell apart. Day 4 fought the big bear Takayasu, ended up with a neck injury, and that has basically cruelled him since September.
It's so disappointing. He was just so close. His form was looking on point. Coming back from that big comeback from that injury, it felt like that was all coming together, and then that injury. It's amazing he's kept fighting through this year, actually.
Yeah, it has. You can see the result, but you can also see the flashes of brilliance where he either fights through it or he's had a couple of shots in the neck before. He's just still so strong. But as you said, that Komusubi Sekiwake run where he just needed that one more basho, and it was torn away from him.
And I don't want to blame Takayasu.
Well, you can't because he's had his own bashos, his own things torn away from him. So what goes around comes around.
Wow. No sympathy there.
He did win Fight of the Year for me last year against Onosato. He did the same thing to, I think it was our man Kimbozan he did the same thing to, and it was just as spectacular. And I was like, I can't use that same fight for Fight of the Year. As good as it was, I can't go back to that one. It's there. I'll mention it, but it's not the one I can choose, unfortunately. Look, I love his technique. I like his strength. I like his mobility, his desperation sumo at the bails. That's why I think he's a very good wrestler, and he should be back to Sekiwake if he can get over his injury. Our other former... so let's go into Oho. We've talked about very briefly. Bit of a hot and cold year, like we said, Megashira 15 to grandson of a Yokozuna. Goes between the two. January 12-3 lost the playoff to Hoshoryu. Fell over a bit March and May 6-9. Did get himself a Kimboshi over Hoshoryu in May. Then July 7-8, just couldn't quite get there, but he got a Kimboshi over Onosato. Made Onosato
opened up
retreat.
July, actually.
Yes, he did.
He was the one who started it all, started the Onosato losses, started the doubt in Onosato's mind. I love that from him.
Started the doubt. I like it.
Started the doubt. Well, you have to.
True.
You have to.
But it's a confidence game.
Exactly.
At that point, though, I thought Onosato showed a little bit of weakness that I think he's just taken out of his mindset, which is after that loss, it felt like he wasn't approaching his sumo as positively. So I completely agree. Oho rocked him hard.
And people have to keep rocking Onosato because as soon as he got to Yokozuna, he was just like, I'm the best. I'm not saying that he actually thought this, but the feeling to me was just like, I'm going to dominate from now. This is it. Nobody can beat me. I'm so strong in his forward motion. And then each little win has just implanted that seed of doubt. And we're seeing better matches because of it, because of his questioning himself and having to adapt his sumo.
Oh, every weakness I thought he's had, he has eliminated.
Yeah. Well, he does do that as well.
Oho kind of in that fight, he resisted that first initial charge of Onosato and made him retreat. So similar to what I think Haku Oho tried that this year as well. Took that initial blast from Onosato. So kudos to Oho for the ability to make Onosato retreat, which we all know is Onosato's weakness. Look, finished okay, 10-5 in September, got himself back to Sekiwake, but November 7-8 didn't quite work for him throughout November. Didn't do too bad. Finished with a few wins at the end, but really just couldn't beat anyone above him. Lost to Shoryu, Onosato, Kodazakura, Kirishima, Ayanishiki. Just couldn't get those wins against his fellow Senyaku guys. Takayasu.
Can I just say,
yes.
Just before we move on to Takayasu, Oho is 25 years old. He's learning now and he's developing his sumo at Sanyaku. Like his natural ability has got him here. He's now learning from the best. I think his best sumo is ahead of him. 2026, maybe not, but 2027, watch out. Time stamp.
You think slow burn.
Slow burn, absolutely. He's a future champion.
I like it. I think he's definitely capable. He's looking for a bit of consistency against these upper guys. That's the issue.
Yeah, but the new way of doing things is your Onosato and your Onishiki. They set the bar so high that someone like Oho, who is doing really well and getting 11-4 and getting 10-5, but then dropping down, that's actually normal. But these other guys are showing, like Hakuho in his time, they're the ones that are sitting so high up there that we're judging Oho and even Kodazakura to an extent, so harshly, but actually they're doing okay.
They're fine.
Well, there's another one we can judge just as harshly, Hakuoho. He only debuted in January in Megashira, and everyone expected him to fire up the Bansuke and suddenly make it to Sanyaku, and he's being judged, I think, a bit harshly against Onosato and Ayanishiki and these other guys. But he again, he's got himself into a position where he's developing. He's a slow burn wrestler. I see Hakuoho eventually getting into the Sanyaku and staying there.
I wonder with him, like with Kotozakura, I think it's injury with him as well. That shoulder and bicep and all of that side still looks so, not weak, but it still looks like an issue to me. It's been injured a couple of times now, and
he's stopped strapping it though, I've noticed.
Yeah.
But it's almost like you can see it in the way he fights. He protects that right side.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm taking it too seriously and it's actually fine, but I still think about it a lot, and I do wonder whether it's still affecting him. I mean, all of these 8-7s with Kimboshi, with flashes of brilliance, but is that still affecting him?
I love the kid. He's 22 years old. Can we just remember that he's 22 years old?
I need to reset myself because I just told everyone to reset, and now I need to reset myself.
I think he might have tweaked it a little bit in one of the fights in November as well. I just saw him a moment there. I think, I thought you might have tweaked your shoulder a little bit there, but he, continued on. It was similar to Kerafuji in London, I think it was. Did he go to London?
Yeah, he did.
Yes, and I think he kind of tweaked it on the first day, his elbow, the bicep. Just kind of fought through it. And I think there's maybe a bit of pain there, and that's just life for him.
He's got so much potential, Hakuoho.
Yes. Moving on, Takayasu, just quickly. Look, we talked about him not getting the Yusho. Bit of disappointment. 2 big moments for Takayasu this year, and I have to mention them. He was the victim of a Tusei-zori from Ura twice in 1 year. How do you do it twice? It's such an unusual move.
How does Ura do it against someone so solid like Takayasu?
And actually, the first one was more impressive than the second one. The
second one was a bit of a reverse twist down. The first one was a legitimate throw over the shoulder. It was crazy.
Just such an Ura position and move, and his photo is there on the Kimarite page for Tsutayazori.
Really?
Yeah, he is the man for that.
The other context around, and Clayton, you might need to help me out with stats here, but I reckon when he did that to Takayasu the first time, Ura had already got his Makakoshi. It was in the final couple of days of the basho.
Oh, was it?
He was playing for nothing, just doing it for pure entertainment.
He loves sumo, Ura.
Yeah. He gets it.
He gets it.
His life is sumo. Where are we saying that was May, was it?
Well,
yes, he was definitely. He was 2-8 at the end of the fight against Takayasu in May.
It's just like I'll chuck you over my.
I'm just going to have a go.
Shoulder.
It was look, it was quite the move, but it is a signature Ura move.
Yep.
Takayasu, I think, falling for it the second time. So, like Hoshoryu,
the saying goes, Tsutayazori me once, shame on me. No, hang on. Shame on you. Tsutayazori me once, shame on me. Twice. I butchered that.
I know what you were getting at.
Oh no.
No, let's not bother.
A wise man climbs Fuji once. A stupid man does it twice. Something like that. So 4 Kachikoshi for Takayasu. I think there were some great fights this year from Takayasu. I know we were saying that Shodai might be slowing down, and Takayasu's getting to that age where he's in the.
We're not
twilight.
saying that. No one's saying that.
No, Clayton's saying that.
I'm saying that. If you saw Takayasu in September against Ayanishiki, it was a furious thrusting battle. I counted 25 hits by Takayasu on Ayanishiki, and Ayanishiki still won that bout.
Yeah.
It was an incredible effort, but it's not the only time I've seen Takayasu do that this year. He is still capable of firing out that Sapari.
Well, that felt like almost like a conscious change up of his sumo style this year, is to introduce that whirlwind of attacks that seem to be very, very effective against his opponents.
Yeah, he can just absolutely still go for it.
He used to go on the belt a lot, used to try, and then he went through that era of getting on the belt and slowing bouts down. And we're just seeing a completely different Rikishi. Again, Takayasu reinvents himself.
And I said my most disappointing moment was to do with Takayasu losing that playoff. But the two of the least disappointing moments were where he went Makakoshi at Komusubi twice and still stayed in Komusubi.
Stayed at the rank.
Let's go.
Absolutely. He's paid.
But again, people see that as a downside, and again, that's that Western Japanese mindset. They've looked at him and gone, "Well, you're a senior sumo wrestler. Yes, you've done a Makikoshi, but there's no one else really of the same quality that we can put up over you, and we're happy to keep you at that rank." And that just shows how much respect they have for Takayasu as a wrestler.
Magic.
Yes.
Yeah.
They've had a shot of sake and gone, Takayasu, you stay there, son.
We love you.
Yeah.
The other guy who came in that's a little bit exciting to me this year, Kusano, otherwise known as the new Shikona of Yoshino Fuji. He's also a former Hakuoho recruit, Hakuho recruit from Miyagino stable. He's now found his way permanently to Isagahama, got himself a Kimboshi, debuted in March 11-4. We're expecting some big things here. Maybe he might even get a passport this year.
Well, now, you need to explain that story because
Clayton,
we've heard a wild part of it.
You told us about your possible involvement in the Yoshino Fuji passport scandal.
Unintentionally. So obviously they all went to London, and I have a few contacts in Japan, and one of those contacts indicated that one of the reasons that Kusano, Yoshino Fuji, didn't go was because either A, he didn't have a passport, or B, his passport has expired. That is not an unusual thing in Japan because a lot of people don't have a passport. They don't travel overseas. He's a young man in sumo. It's not a common thing for the young sumo to have passports because, their entire life from, say, 15 is sumo, so they don't get it. I may have tweeted that on my account at some point. Now, normally...
Was that factually checked, Clayton?
He's got sources.
I have a source. It was it was actually a pretty good source. And most of my tweets might get maybe 100, 200 views, something like that. This tweet might have gotten some close to 100,000 views. And then suddenly it just generated...
someone's gone viral.
The story and it's going, and I'm like, oh, okay. Then obviously after the Basho, Yoshino Fuji comes out and says, "No, I have a passport, blah, 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 blah. That's fake news, the whole deal." So now, however.
Okay, so public apology. Are you making a public
my
apology?
My source was good. And it's funny, actually, Chris Sumo, the guy who does the YouTube little news thingos, actually doubted the story that Kusano was saying, or Yoshino Fuji was saying, because he said he didn't answer the question. He gave his version of the answer. And so there's still some doubt there. Without adding to the rumour mill, there are other stories I've heard. I'm not going to expand them, but I can say perhaps the power of misinformation and Twitter or X. Did I cause it? Look, apparently it had been put out before I even tweeted by a Japanese person, so it was not entirely new. But I'll claim that one, and if I need to, I'll offer a humble apology from Australia.
If I need to.
If I need to, yes.
Which I don't.
I'm a true politician.
Kusano, I think he didn't go because he was injured, right? That was another thing as well. Maybe the passport as well, but also he was injured. But it's been so good to see him. At least start his debut well. Then he went 11-4, right? And then a couple of just less good Kachikoshis.
Yeah.
He's great.
When he first came about, and him and Aonishiki came in at the same time, I looked at him versus Aonishiki and I went, Kusano, to me, he's got more fundamentals in sumo. And I see him in long term. I see him being a really good wrestler long term. Ayanishki's completely blown me out of the water on that one. However, I still think Kasano is Yoshino Fuji is still a very good prospect. I still see him as a very, very good, fundamentally good wrestler.
Fundamentally good, I think, is a shocking understatement. Like
Yes.
Yoshino Fuji, what he did over day 10 and 11 in November, beating Onosato on day 10 and then Aonishiki on day 11.
Yeah,
I mean, that was
the world was screaming for him
extraordinary
on those 2 days.
But you're right, Clayton. He's about sumo fundamentals, and I think he's more of a classical.
That was my point. Fundamentals, yes.
Yeah. And not to take anything away from that, he executes that style so perfectly.
Yes.
So exciting to see where he goes from here. But gee, after those 2 days, everyone was talking about Yoshino Fuji.
What I liked about that as well was that he beat Aonishiki, but then he was asked to be in the car with him.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
When Aonishiki won.
Beautiful.
I was like, what's he doing in the car?
I know. A little bit awkward, but it wasn't, because I think they might be friends. That's a bit of a reach on my part. But also, Aonishiki wasn't didn't know so much about what to do in the car, and fair enough, when he won.
But I wouldn't have thought Yoshino Fuji did either.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
I'm not sure that Yoshino Fuji knew either. They should have put someone who knew in that. And they actually got into the wrong seat of the car together.
Yes.
And they sat down on the lower seat, and they had to get up on the high seat so that everyone can see them. But then in the videos that went around as well, you can see Yoshino Fuji grab Aonishiki's arm and pull it up, grab onto his onto the sleeve and pull his arm up. And
Sumo fundamentals.
Yeah, Sumo fundamentals. Yes. It was lovely to see those two. But it was funny because Yoshino Fuji had beaten him.
If not friends, very good compatriots and very good colleagues.
Yep.
Look, the win against Ayanishiki is again that really instructing loss to how Ayanishiki has a vulnerability, because Yoshino Fuji went in hard, both hands on the Nodowa, and drove him up, and that is, I think, the only key I can find for Ayanishiki, and Yoshino Fuji executed it so well.
Yeah, it was an amazing win. Incredible.
So, Ura, where would we be in sumo without Ura? 3 Kachikoshi, 3 Makikoshi this year, 2 okay, now let's get into pronunciation. The word is spelt Tsutaezori. The word TSU is pronounced tsu, not
Utaezori.
Yeah, and I can't say that bloody word.
Just say big flip.
The big flip, the underarm flip. I just can't say it. I'm useless at it.
That's all right.
Tsutaezori. I've got to practice.
All good.
He is just the gift to sumo in every step of the way. However, on a sumo basis, I'm going to give him so much kudos this year. He has developed into a more orthodox wrestler. He's taken some of that flash out of his sumo, and I think it's working for him. He's become more of an Oshi front on, let's make this work sumo. And when he's done a little bit of flash, it's kind of gone pear-shaped on him. He's not really worked. I'm interested to see where he takes this.
I completely agree. We saw a much more conservative approach to his sumo, but then suddenly when he's doing that, he's racking up the white dots. As you said, he does treat himself to some funny sumo sometimes.
Yeah, and he really did that in London. You know, he was the guy who was given the technique prize at the end because he put on a show for the audience. And I do think for a shy guy who is known to be shy, he does enjoy performing for the audience, and he has to find that balance. And I think he's found a better balance this year of doing good sumo and the performative stuff.
Very good
Clayton,
point.
you challenged us, I think, in these notes to put down a fight of the year, or did you write that down?
No,
I wrote it down, but I haven't actually filled any in because
no, it's okay. We went through and filled a few in, and
did you? Good.
Obviously, it's very hard to pick one bout, but the bout I chose for fight of the year was Ura. But it was in his loss against Takayasu. So Takayasu was doing the raining down the Tsupari attacks, and eventually Takayasu pulls Ura through. Most Rikishi will go over the Tawara or tumble down. Ura did a huge somersault, and ended up creating that magic moment where he was face to face with Ichi Yamamoto. So that was my battle of the year. Ura in that great loss.
What a beautiful moment that is, and what a media moment.
Yeah.
Ura sitting on the side of the dojo, staring into Ichi Yamamoto's eyes, Ichi Yamamoto with his hand out. You just
doesn't get much better than that.
Can't create those moments.
But it's not his only. It's not his only media moment this year. The Aonishiki flip in London made every highlight reel going.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
It was a special flip. That's why he got the technique prize for executing an amazing somersault. Okay, moving on. Our most outstanding wrestler of the year. Ooh. I'm going to have to go with Onosato. I know Aonishiki is the recency bias. I know he's the man of the hour, but I think Onosato has, 2 U-shows, getting to Yokozuna. I think whilst he's had a few blips, I think he's, for me, the most outstanding wrestler this year so far.
I had exactly the same thing, Clayton. I think obviously the temptation for me was to think about Aonishiki, but if we talk about who has set the bar this year and who is the person to beat, it's still Onosato. I think and I'm loving it. I'm loving seeing him do this.
Well, I went Aonishiki, actually, because I felt in that final basho in November that we were seeing something actually outstanding, and the way that he was bypassing some of the other Rikishi sumo was really impressive. And I took a while to convert to, you gotta win me over. And by the end of that November basho, I was just sold on Aonishiki. So he's my most outstanding.
And a worthy one at that. I had him close second.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Onosato for me, close second.
But they're
both close first.
But they are, both Onosato and Aonishiki have sent ripples through Makuuchi in that, how do you beat these two?
Yep.
Now, I don't know if Hoshoryu did that. So they are cut from a different cloth.
For now.
That takes me to disappointment of the year. I'm going to have to go. Look, I want to say Hoshoryu. He has been promoted to Yokozuna. He has come back a little bit since his debut, but I think I'm going to have to say Hoshoryu. Sorry, Kimber. Until he wins that U-show as a Yokozuna, I don't think he's going to convince himself of his rank.
Yeah, that next U-show is not going to be easy to come by either.
Yeah. My disappointment of the year. Look, I thought about Wakataka Kage because that was actually disappointing. I thought that he might really challenge for that Ozeki position. I've mentioned Takayasu losing the playoff. Another one, though, that springs to mind is just, this is a minor thing, but Hiradumi in Kyushu this year, I really wanted him to just go all out in front of his home crowd and do so well, and to go 4-11 again like he did last year in front of that home crowd. I was really disappointed for him, less in him, more for him, I think.
He's kind of really struggled a bit of late, Hiradumi. It's not quite worked for him. He's still putting in the energy, though. He's still fighting the way he fights, and I think it's just been... there's a micrometer between winning and losing sometimes in sumo, I think.
Absolutely.
So true.
Yeah.
My disappointment of the year. So I think you've both taken this as like kind of broad umbrella disappointments. Mine was very, very specific. I want to take you back to day 6 in November. Wakamoto Haru's Henka against Hoshoryu. We've been on this podcast for 6 or 7 years now, and I've been banging on about the honesty of Wakamoto Haru's sumo.
You felt personally betrayed.
I felt personally attacked and betrayed, and everyone gave me a hard time about it. I felt like I was under attack. Yeah, people at work, people in the streets. It was disgusting and it was no good. And I just felt, Wakamoto Haru now has some work to do to get his way back into my heart. I was very disappointed.
I would say that Wakamoto Haru is one of my favourite wrestlers. I like his style. I like his, I don't know, maybe his orthodox belt style, and it's very effective. And pulling a henker like that, look, I can't say I wasn't slightly disappointed in it.
And it's always like, oh, it was a payback one against because of his brother. And it was a blah, blah, blah. Like,
I hated that when people said that. I hated it.
I know that. But
You're
also
not
you
your
don't
brother.
have to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, I'm looking for something to justify Wakamoto Haru's actions as a fan, but I'm like, I don't know that I can.
Yep.
Maybe you just wanted to have a go. It just looks so fun to be able to just vacate the premises. Maybe you just wanted to have a go.
And he picks up another Kimboshi. I think he's on 3 Kimboshi. He got another one over Hoshoryu in July.
He's Kimboshi. You're a real Kimboshi guy.
And he beat that Onosato win was amazing. Was that was the other Kimboshi, right? Onosato?
He got Hoshoryu in November, and then he got Hoshoryu in July with the Yorakiri. And the other one might have been back a bit further. I'm going back, and the sheet I can't see it.
He's beaten Onosato anyway. But in my heart, he has 2. And
has it changed? Has, like, Chiyo Shoma started it, the henker against Hoshoryu on his debut as a Yokozuna, and there appears to be a lot of trading of henker with the Yokozuna. Has it changed how people look at the henker? Normally, you go back a few years, you wouldn't henker a Yokozuna like that from Megashira. No. There'd be much frowning and murmuring of, un-Yokozuna-like and you just don't do that. But it's now changed, I think.
Yeah. To me, it's just a value for money thing. Like when someone henkers, I get robbed from watching.
You're robbed of wrestling.
Robbed of sumo, and if a Yokozuna does it, I get robbed of seeing a Yokozuna do sumo. And if someone henkers a Yokozuna, same thing.
I think the term is winning sumo is Yokozuna sumo.
Oh. Don't fall back on that one.
Best moments of the year. Look, I have probably my favourite moment of the year will have to be Ura putting his fists up to Wakamoto Haru.
In London.
No.
In March.
Oh,
yeah, March or May or
doing
something.
It in London.
That was just such a magic moment. Iconic.
That was good.
And I don't know what he was doing. No one knows what he was doing. And I've never seen an explanation about what he was trying to do. But it was just... Yeah. I looked at the fight again the other day and went, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's completely unneeded, but completely amazing.
It must have been a reflex, some kind of reflex reaction or something.
But he threw the hand in at one point, but then I think he realised, I better open my hand and not make it a punch.
Where am I?
Yes.
It was quite a year for Ura, wasn't it? But I think every year is quite a year for Ura.
Yes. Yeah. Any favourite moments of the year?
Sometimes my best moments are centered around people. So I really enjoyed going with Kimber to Hoshoryu's Yokozuna ceremony and being lucky enough to do that. Like, it's sort of about who...
In Tokyo, right? In July.
Tokyo, yeah. In June.
Quite an experience, isn't it?
Yeah, it was really nice. And people are so generous around those sort of things. And she was generous to, invite me and things like that, and being able to have a photo with my sumo hero, Kisuna Sato, Nishonoseki Oyakado. It was really special to me. Being at the sumo with friends in March, it was just very much about that. They were some of my best moments.
Yeah. I guess for me, like, when you had said to me, the London, exhibition things going on, I'm like, I think I remember saying to you, do you think they'll go to Abbey Road and do the Abbey Road photo? And you said, I don't know. And then like the next day, you're like, look.
Just look at this.
So seeing Rikishi do the Beatles Abbey Road photo, that was absolutely the best moment for me. What was going on though? It's like they forgot how to walk.
It's like when you're learning to march and you do the gate walking and you do it wrong and it looks really awkward.
The traffic's coming too.
Yes.
Like it doesn't stop the traffic, and I think they were probably a bit nervous.
If you go to Abbey, like no one drives down Abbey Road going, I'll take the shortcut.
There were cars coming.
Yeah, but like it's Abbey Road, right?
Yeah,
everyone gets the photo.
Yes.
A few notable rikishi there. Kirishima looked especially like he'd forgotten how to walk. Oshoma taking his first steps. And Abi, absolutely in struggle town. It's like he didn't even know which way the arm should go.
Yeah.
Does the right arm go with the right leg or the other way around? That was magic.
A loss of coordination. But I must say, London was super special in that the Londoners, and as a city, they really embraced the sumo, and the sumo embraced London. And I'm so glad they got out and did tourist things and mingled with people, and watching Hoshoryu stuff a hot dog in Onosato's face.
There were some wild moments.
Yeah.
It's
The
fantastic.
tall lady.
Yes.
It was just seeing the rikishi out, in an environment where they weren't being completely harassed by fans like they would be in Japan. It showed a different side of them.
I saw plenty of photos.
Honest to God tourists. Like they were just having such a good time.
Yep.
Oho going back to the Buckingham Palace guards and just being like, take a photo of me. Oh no, that's not right. Take another photo, different angle. Then going back the second day. So we went 2 days, and each day he had
taking the photo. I think he was useless at it.
Was it him taking? That's cute.
I think it was.
Oh, so cute. Was it seeing who was friends with each other? I laughed.
Yep. Was it Kota Shoho who had the professional photographer follow him around for a day?
Beautiful photos.
Really? Yeah. We'll send you those.
Kota Shoho just engaging in London life on the tube, at the restaurant.
It was very lifestyle,
walking
wasn't it?
along the street.
Yeah, it was good stuff.
Yes. Look, I think on your point of going to the Hoshoryu promotion event, and I count myself as extremely lucky that I have the ability to go to Japan and engage in sumo over there and go to the Kokugikan. I'm lucky enough to have contacts to get tickets. I know from many people who listen to yours and my podcast, the struggle to get tickets to sumo, and that's going to be a challenge into 2026. So I never underestimate how lucky I am to get to go to these events and engage in doing that, and going to like a Senshiraku party. It's just, like, to me, it's very special to go and do that and enjoy it and make the most of it. So I really do hope that people from overseas get the chance to go at some point, get a ticket and go and watch a whole day, enjoy the sumo and the atmosphere. 2026, we know it's going to be hard to get tickets. I'm looking at Nagoya if I don't fall off Mount Fuji first. Because that's why I'm going in July. No, I've actually, all the years we're going to Japan, I've never actually gotten the opportunity to climb Mount Fuji, and I'm a hiker. I've been to Mount Everest Base Camp and things like that. So
wow.
I've always wanted to climb Mount Fuji, and the timing has never worked because it's a very short season. A friend of mine is a guide. We're going to do it in July, and then I'm going to go to Nagoya Basho, I hope. What does 2026 hold for you guys?
Well, we're planning. Well, we will be there in March. The question is, how many days do we get to go? So I think we're trying to get tickets. We'll also do a day 15 live event at probably the same place in Osaka, and then I think the other plan is we'd love to get back in November. Fukuoka is such a special basho, and Kyushu is just such a beautiful part of Japan.
I love Kyushu. It's a beautiful island.
Yeah.
So that is 2025. We're moving into 2026. Thank you very much for joining me on this podcast. It's been a lot of fun. I hope you get a little bit of a rest before the Bansuke comes out and we start again into full sumo events. Thank you very much, Dave. Thank you very much, Amy. It's lovely to hear from you again.
Thanks for having us, Clayton.
Thanks, Clayton.
Thanks, everyone. Join us again. Hakioi, let's learn sumo.